or double leg. As long as she runs her feet, it doesn't matter how big and strong he is, she's able to drive through it. So
as of 6 months into Two Blue Vortex, Boruto has shown about 10% of his power, and from what we've seen, he's already more powerful than most ninja dead or alive. And surprisingly, the fan base is more split than ever before. On the flip side, the newest chapters of the time skip show Kawaki's progression since Naruto took him in, practically moonwalking backwards into the gutter, especially since Kawaki before the time skip was prime Michael Jordan, and now at his best is more like a LeBron late in his career watching J.R. Smith throw the ball towards the wrong hoop. Or maybe he's just J.R. Smith at this point. Anyway, chapter 8 picks up where Boruto and Mitsuki's conversation ended, with Boruto ending Mitsuki's therapy session by reassuring Mitsuki that he's his son. Honestly, I get that this has been an ongoing story with Mitsuki and Boruto and the whole sun and moon analogy, but for me, this part of Mitsuki's character would have been best left in part 1 or turned into something a little bit different, because the more I hear Boruto and Mitsuki talk about it, the more cringe it becomes. If that makes me a hater, then fuck it.
Hate mode activated.
Meanwhile, we cut to Eida basically disagreeing with that take though, since she can't believe how cool Boruto is after hearing him say that to Mitsuki, officially adding a +1 to Boruto's growing harem before Kawaki interrupts like a disappointed pimp asking where his money at, wanting to know where Boruto is. So Eida asks for a second to get her shit together before telling him where Boruto is, while at the same time Delta tries to tell Kawaki to treat Eida better and gets a thoughtful response from Kawaki like
Seeds, mold, coat.
before flying off towards Boruto. To be honest with you, I don't know why this made me actually like Delta, but the supportive thumbs up she gives Eida before following Kawaki made me actually start liking her character. I digress. Before cutting back to Shikamaru and Boruto's conversation, from last chapter, we see a single claw grind running through the forest, and we'll come back to little homie and his importance, cause he definitely does become important. But first we have panels of Boruto and Shikamaru having a conversation about information we already know. So the cliff notes being, Boruto or Kawaki get absorbed equals the planet dies, and the absorbed non-Otsutsuki tree people they currently have equal 10 Tails chakra batteries. With Shikamaru then asking for the audience how much Boruto really knows about what's going on, we of course get interrupted by Kawaki with Ino reassuring Shikamaru Kawaki won't hear Boruto's side of the conversation. Kawaki quickly explains the situation, that Eida pinpointed Boruto and they're going to do a pincer attack to pin him down, just for Boruto to Flying Roger to escape. The interesting part is Kawaki immediately realizes Boruto left the area before they could sense each other, and guesses Boruto vanished before they got there. And that's interesting to me because it shows he has unwavering trust for Eida, even though he treats her like he does. So when she eventually switches to Boruto's side, because let's be honest, at this point we all know that's pretty much a done deal, Kawaki is going to spiral even further and faster than he is now, and who knows what he'll do if he manages to power himself up again to scale closer to Boruto, like how Code did at the end of part 1. After Kawaki takes that L, it cuts to Mitsuki's and Eida's conversation about Kawaki that simply just becomes a conversation about love. Once Mitsuki gets Damon and Eida to essentially feel bad for him, even if he did it unintentionally, talking about Kawaki, saying,
"It's a waste of time to berate me.
and
I don't understand who I am."
Oh, bro.
So typical emo sad boy vibes, till eventually Eida explains by saying love has no explanation, and Mitsuki basically replies with, "I want real love or none at all," rather than holding on to fake love, of course. And of course he used the sun and moon analogy, with Eida ending the conversation saying she wants to talk to Boruto, after pretty much admitting she just wants love as well by not really fighting Mitsuki's comparison of each other. Now getting back to the actual hype of the chapter, we cut to Jura realizing he's read everything he can, and is now ready to be about that action. He grabs Hidari and both of them Dimension Cube teleport through that lone claw grind we mentioned earlier that has now arrived directly at the Hidden Leaf Village. Now that they've left the lab and know a few combos, they walk up to the front gates of the sensory unit, immediately picking up on their chakra signatures, identifying one of them as Sasuke Uchiha, and the other as a brand new chakra signature. Sarada, of course, is confused, and the village is used to drive-bys at this point, so they instantly are in a state of emergency. Jura and Hidari take a quick stroll through a bookstore on their way to search for Naruto before Kawaki interrupts them with the Hakona aimed at Hidari that forces Hidari to jump, so he had no choice but to block Kawaki's follow-up attack, with Kawaki getting the closest thing to a W, even though Hidari 1 reacted to one of the fastest jutsu in the verse, and 2 blocked his attack. He starts asking who they are and why they're here, and Jura just responds with "don't fight in front of the bookstore," and proceeds to discipline Kawaki essentially, and humbles him by holding him up in the air, aiming a kick directly for his face, with Kawaki being able to Hakona away only to get caught with a 3-piece combo, with the first strike destroying his counterattack, and the other 2 trying to knock his teeth down his throat and then sending him across the village. After Jura reassures him he won't kill him yet, of course, making this one of the biggest L's Kawaki has received. At this point, if you know a Kawaki fan, I'd probably reach out, make sure they doing okay. Meanwhile, Kawaki is recovering from his weekly concussion. Jura is positive he senses Naruto, and signals Hidari to rush over. Hidari obviously being a little skeptical, asking if he's sure, before Jura just says, "Trust me, bro." And they fly over and land directly in front of Squad 10, with Himawari following slightly behind with Chocho, and just stare at each other for a minute, before Hidari asks, "Which one is he?" And Jura essentially says,
What the fuck is going on here?
before the end of the chapter. Oh, you're probably asking about where the Chapter 7 review is. I'ma keep it a buck. It was ass. I just have to be real with you. Let me explain though. We have to go back to Chapter 6 with how I feel about Chapter 7, because I feel Chapter 6 was honestly one of the best chapters in Two Blue Vortex. With the pacing, the combat, all the information being old but still not taking up room in the pacing to make it slow, was a pretty good chapter for Two Blue Vortex. And we got a very good battle between Boruto and Mitsuki at the end. And the Sage Mode Mitsuki at the end was so impressive compared to Chapter 7, where none of that happens. Mitsuki essentially has no chakra left, it looks like, and the battle really just kind of ends at the beginning of the chapter, with Mitsuki only making a couple moves, and the Snake Shadow clones making an appearance and definitely being interesting, but makes short work of him, and it kind of just makes Sage Mode a little underwhelming for me. I'm not mad that Boruto won, I'm just mad that Sage Mode was as weak as it is, if that makes sense. I was expecting a little more from Mitsuki in the Sage Mode appearance, especially after how long we were waiting for it, so it was kind of disappointing to see that it wasn't really all that great yet, but maybe we'll see later in future chapters. I guess I got my hopes up, and I'll have to wait longer to see Sage Mode Mitsuki. But I've been Nimbus, thank you for watching, I'll catch you in the next one, peace.